Think about a learning that you've had in your life that's had a significant impact on you. It may have changed your behaviors, it may have changed your values, or it may have changed your thinking. So come up with one. Really think of one. A learning that's had a significant impact in your life. Got it? Was it something you read? Just raise your hand. Something you read? Look around. Couple? Something you heard? Presentation, speech, Martin Luther King. Was it something you did or experienced? Just look around. Wonderful. You're in the right place. We'll see what happens. So as you think about that, we as, thank you.
This is right, this is left.
Right and left, thank you. I should have checked. They always say check that out ahead of time. So why aren't we doing more activity in our work? We have them read, we have them listen to us. Some of the most powerful learning you just raised your hand about was something you did, something you experienced. So today we're going to do what we call experiential learning. I'd like to introduce my three colleagues. John Carrick in the back. John and I have worked together for over 20 years. John and I have done 20 or 30 years worth of experiential work with Columbia Business School executive programs, Harvard, Tuck Business School, and many corporations. So we have seen and observed the power that doing something can have an impact within an organization. Some of you may not know, but Ron Price in the corner, so Ron and I met a number of years ago, and Ron hadn't done any of this kind of experiential work, so we've incorporated a lot of it into the Complete Leader, and Andy Johnson, who was in the earlier session. So in a minute, what I'd like you to do is think about one of two roles, and you're going to pick one of the four corners to go to. Here are the two roles, and with the instructions to the two roles. You can be a doer, meaning, let me experience what this activity is, because we're going to have the same activity going on in 4 different places in the room. So you can experience it and see what the learning is. The people that are observers, here's what your job is. Do a lot of work with your eyes and your ears, and very little with your mouth. As an observer, what I want you to do when you're observing the activity is look for the D, the I, the S, and the C behaviors. Pay attention to what's going on. You will get sucked into wanting to figure the problem out. Let the doers do that and watch how they do it. Don't start talking amongst yourselves saying, if they did it this way or that way. It will lessen your learning. So the observer's job is to watch and listen. And please don't speak because we have so many here. It will create a lot of chaos in the room. Listen carefully to what's going on in each of the stations. Observe it, and then we'll have some conversation about it at the end. I think that's it. So if we can take sort of that part of the room and come over here, and that part of the room and up here, and that part of the room back with Ron, and that part back with John. If you're a doer, stand on one of the numbers. If you're an observer, shh, watch and listen. Well, that's what they're going to do on Slido. Got it. As you get to Slido, Steve Van Remortel came up to me yesterday and he goes, Whit, for those of you that know Steve, Green Bay Packer guy, and I'm a Patriots guy, so I'm having a good year this year with him. He said, let me just finish and then you can ask the question. He said, Whit, I can't have my CEOs. This is kind of fluffy stuff. We've done the top people at Fortune 500 organizations, the top people, and they get into the activity. Believe it or not, we all still like to, and I'm hesitant to use this word play, but engage with each other. So I would say to you, if you're a little worried about that, give it a go and watch what happens and watch the dynamics that goes on with a team and watch the person at the top go, wow, now I've just learned a couple things about my leadership team that I didn't know. Now I see it clearly. Combine it with the DISC from behavioral communication and watch out. So thank you for participating. We'll take questions. We'll start with you, but go to Slido.
What in the world is the solution?
So here it is. If you're on a team that's going in the same direction, don't ever get back to back. Right. I'll let you figure it out from there. Questions?
Yeah, here's one of the best pieces of advice I ever got when I started in this game is give people a meaningful problem and get out of the way. People don't learn by being given solutions. They learn by being given challenges.
Other questions? Resources. type in experiential activities. I'll get to that. Experiential activities, you can write down, and I can send you if Project Adventure has a bunch of them, but I'm happy to share those with you, and I'm negligent in not having put them up on the screen. Let's go to the questions. Yes, I do. And how can I get that out to people? What's the best way to get that out to people? Yes, I do have more activities. I'm happy to get them out.
If they take the Complete Leader Program training to become a certified facilitator, they get 15 experiential exercises as part of the training.
So Whit at price-associates.com. And I'll say Whit at, I can't believe it's not in the literature, price-associates.com. I'll send you a couple, but I'll also send you resources. My apologies. It was the one piece that you can mark me down on that one. So that, put it on TTI website. People can go up to that. Perfect. Other questions? Let's see. Open it up. No questions. Yes.
So when you're doing training, is there a balance? Are you looking for activities versus presentation? Yes. What's that right mix?
A balance in the activities during a training. So let's say we're doing 2 days. I might do one the first day right after lunch and one the second day, and maybe late in the morning or after lunch. I don't do it the first thing, although there is an activity that I do right out of the gate, which is very quick. And for those of you that saw me present a couple years ago, it's taking a piece of paper and asking people to fold it, and everybody does it differently, and they go, and I talk about communication. But there are lots of activities. I'll put some resources on the TTI site. Yes?
How often is it that the CEOs are the observers in this activity versus the doers, and
Rarely.
what happens to the dynamic?
Rarely. What we decided yesterday was, John and I said, we got a lot of people, what are we going to do? John said, just make everybody else observers. I will be very specific if I have an observer. So I know the group a little bit, and I might say, Rico, could you be the observer for this activity? Sometimes it's good for the CEO to be the observer, but I'd much rather have him or her involved and engaged, because then he or she sees her behavior and others do as well. Yes?
As a follow-up, knowing that you've already done assessments on all these people and had an opportunity to see how they're wired, DISC, how much of that knowledge do you apply to who you have doing what as the facilitator?
I don't. I let them do it. You know, I don't structure it. I let it happen, because it happens in the boardroom, it happens in the meetings, it happens in one-on-one interactions. So
if you know that two people are like polar opposites in advance, you don't try and put them together.
I don't at all. You know why?
You let it happen organically.
I let it happen. It's much better.
Okay.
I tried doing that, and it's much better if it just happens, and you wouldn't believe what happens, and you go, oh, I'm so glad I stepped back out of that.
How much debrief do you do after you do the experiential activity? And I know it varies, but how much do you do? A lot of debrief, or not that much, or does it depend, or what?
So the activity might take a half an hour to 40 minutes, because you've got to set it up. So I will do, I'll dedicate maybe an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. I want a good debrief, and I will go longer if I can see something happen, because something may pop up, and there it is. And what's great is that it's popped up because you've been engaged in something that's fun and engaging. Right. In the boardroom with the ties and the coats and the skirts, it doesn't pop up as much. Right. But you get people outside. Just take them out on the lawn. I usually look for an area when I go in that's outside, away from everybody, and do an activity. And that way they feel safe out there. And stuff comes up that never has come up. Right. And then they can address it. I'm very practical, so I don't just do it. I say, so what's one thing that you learned here as a team that you're going to do differently as a team tomorrow? Because we're going to do another one tomorrow. And we do that. We follow up with, okay, what did you learn yesterday in the activity that you could have done better? Great, let's make sure we do that. And what did you learn yesterday that you want to eliminate? Let's do that. So the team starts looking at the different behavioral dynamics. How much time? Am I done?
We're at the last minute. If we can get
last
that question, I
question.
think we have one more after
There's a
that.
book, Silver Bullets. Can't remember the author. He's a good friend of mine. Thank you. That brings almost tears to my heart. His name is Carl Ronke, Project Adventure. Carl has written a lot of books. Carl's a very dear friend of mine, and he's got dementia. And I talked to him last week, so you hit me in the heart. Carl Ronke, Rohnke, and he has written a tremendous amount of material on this. Silver Bullet's a great book. Thank you. Last question.
Just wondering if you've ever had a situation where somebody gets embarrassed in the room because of behavior that comes out, and then how you handle that.
I haven't had embarrassment. I think the people are worried about embarrassment. And what happens is once we start an activity, the stuff sort of goes away. So I've done it for 30 years. I don't know, John, have you had somebody embarrassed?
Yes, and one of the critical things in my job is to make it safe to learn.
Yeah, good.
Make it psychologically safe to learn. So if someone has embarrassed themselves, then make it safe to be embarrassed. Make it safe to learn. As long as they're missed.
Thanks. Thanks for your participation today. Appreciate it.